I'll call this meeting of the City Commission open on Thursday, August 3rd, here in Commission Chambers, Municipal and Safety Building. First, we have the minister from Chauncey, Slater from Thankful Baptist Church is coming to do the invocation. If you all stand for that and remain standing for the pledge.
Amen. Thank you, Mayor Fowler, Vice Mayor Murphy, Manager Ball, and the Commission. Thank you all for having me this evening. Let us go to the Lord in prayer at this time. Father God, we thank you for this wonderful evening, Lord. We thank you for this meeting of the minds, Lord, and we thank you for this opportunity, Lord. Just bless this meeting, Lord, as we come together to make decisions that are best for this wonderful city, Lord, that you have bestowed upon us, Lord. And we speak that everything runs smoothly and that everything goes great this evening, Lord. It's in your Son, Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Ball.
Commission, your next order of business is item 3.1, which is to consider approval of the minutes for the regularly scheduled City Commission meeting held on Thursday, July 20th, 2023.
Move approval.
I have a motion and a second to have any discussion. Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, the next order of business is consideration of the consent agenda.
We actually have one public comment that was signed up.
Oh, I'm
right.
sorry. Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I'm going to skip back to that. So, in just a second, I will open public comment that we're going to have at the first of our meetings. We announced it last meeting that was coming up. The state has said we're going to do this, so we're going to do it the right way. I will open for public comment. We have one person, Matthew Paul, that has signed up, so I will open public comment. If you will come forward, give your name and your address, and you've got 3 minutes.
City Commission.
Good evening.
My name is Matthew Paul, and I live at 126 Sarah's Way. I'm also one of the founding members of an organization called Ride JC, which is really focusing on alternative transit in and around Johnson City. I want to talk to you a little bit about some small changes that we can make to one of the developments we'll be under discussion tonight, the one at Clenchfield, that we can increase customer spending by 3.6 times. We can reduce mortality rates by 50% less, all while saving the developer money. I spend a lot of time biking and walking around on the trails in Johnson City, from the Tweetsie Trail to the State of Franklin Linear Trail. And one of the things I find is that as I'm doing this biking, it's hard to find parking for my bike, so that if I want to go get a bite to eat or if I want to do a little shopping, it's where do I park my bike so I'm not worried about it getting taken. So this access is critical for people who want to explore Johnson City by bike. The statistic I mentioned earlier is that bike parking per square meter generates $31 in revenue versus only $6 for car parking, or about 3.6 times. So one thing I was concerned about when I was looking at the concept plan for Clenchfield was that there was no mention of the linear trail that passes right through that area. And beyond that, even if there is the trail that passes through there, there's no parking or any facilities at the hotel or the office building that's mentioned. So if someone wanted to use that as a way to commute into the hotel or the office, they won't be able to because they have nowhere to park their bike. So I wanted to know what the plan is for the State of Franklin Linear Trail for around this development. And I wanted to encourage the developer and the city to work with that developer to put some bike parking, preferably lockers, but even just a rack to really help that thing. And I wanted to do that because I think it can position the hotel and the office really well in that development. It's a great spot. I've ridden through there a lot, and I think it's a beautiful spot for what they're wanting to put in there. It will position that hotel, and by extension, Johnson City, as a premier spot for active tourism. There's a lot of that going on in this area. And doing that, they can come stop in Johnson City. They can ride Tannery Knobs. They can take the rest of the trail system, or they could even go down to downtown and see one of the many festivals. The ones that work in the office, they can commute to their office. They can go do shopping at the nearby complexes, and they can reach their fitness goals without stepping foot inside a gym. So there was another study that talked about bike commuting, that on average, people died 50% less over a 5-year period when they were active commuters by bike. So I know the developer is probably trying to figure out how they can do adding or improving a trail and adding bike parking, how that's going to make save them cash. So in the zoning ordinances, 10% of parking, required parking for a development, can be replaced by bike lockers or racks in a one stall for one rack or one locker. And so on average, the racks or the car stalls take about $1,500 to $3,000. And bike parking on average tends to be about $150 to $300. So that's about a 10 times savings.
Those crickets were your 3 minutes that
Okay.
you heard behind
So,
you.
the thing that I want to do is just ask what's going on with the trail, and that I want to encourage the city and the developer to work to really position it well as an active tourism hotspot. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I think
Thank
you'll be
you.
happy with the discussion tonight, so I appreciate you coming
Thank
forward.
you.
All right. Seeing that was the one person, I will close the public comment, and now we'll go
Thank
on.
you,
Uh-huh.
thank you very much. So item number 5 is the consideration of the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Did we go through the poll things?
We haven't. We had a motion to pass it without it.
Okay.
But we're not to the vote yet. You get a chance to say
Yeah,
something.
I did have something I wanted to pull,
Then
so
pull.
that
What-
went
what do
pretty
we wanna
fast,
pull?
yeah. Let's see, I don't have it marked, but I know Mr. Ross is in here. I wanted to hear
It's
about.
item 5.1.6, Commissioner Brock.
Right.
Is this the, or excuse me?
No, it's not the equipment, it's the training center.
Okay, let me find it.
The fire.
5.3.2, which
Top
is,
of
There
page
we
2,
go,
yeah.
thank you, Mr. Trivett.
yeah, so item 5.3.2.
Yeah, I would just like to, if Mr. Ross and perhaps the fire chief could give us a little update. This is a project that is funded through our ARPA funds, which came from the federal government. And I just really want the public to understand what we've done with a lot of those funds and how strong this project is and what it's going to do for not only our fire department, for the people of Johnson City and then the surrounding areas who have volunteer fire departments. I think that's going to really be a great asset for the region, honestly. So if y'all could just kind of give us an update, I appreciate
I'll
it.
do a real quick, I have 5 slides, just a real quick overview of what the project is.
Take your time.
This is about 3 acres located behind Fire Station Number 7, shown in this highlighted area. And this is the same location the fire department is currently running training activities.
It's on
There's a
West
real-
Walnut.
On West Walnut Street, yes, ma'am. This is a conceptual site plan. You've got kind of 4 main areas. The top right there is a classroom building and offices. Right there in the center, that large square is a tower structure. And I have a little more on that on the next slides. And then a couple of other locations where they have a pad for burning cars or other props, that type of thing. And this is a overall floor plan of the building. You have some office section on the right, 4 offices and some workspaces, and then to the right center, common area with a lobby and restrooms and break room. Then one large training area that can be divided into 2 smaller areas, and then on the left you have showers and rooms for storing gear and changing and cleaning up. And there's a rendering of what that building will look like approximately. And this is a representation of a typical tower that could be built on that site. It probably will not look like this. We're still working with vendors, the fire department is, to work on a design that's going to best fit their needs.
Chief, how are we going to use this?
All right, well, thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you again. The plan with this is to be able to train our personnel up to the standards that we expect them to be able to perform at for our citizens. Currently, we don't have the facilities to do that. This is going to give us so many opportunities that we've not been able to have without going outside the area to achieve that. We want to open this up to Washington County volunteer departments as well. We'll do training with them. We'll assist them with training to help them build their fire protection up. This will assist the city and the county of that. We've had outside counties request the opportunity to come in and actually basically rent the facility from us with our supervision of it. So that there's a chance of being able to make funds on that in the future. No, it won't be a tremendous amount, but it'll offset the cost. But this will definitely allow us to get to that next level that we want to get to. As far as the classrooms, these can be multi-use classrooms for different things in the city, different departments be able to use them. Being able to hold over 100 people in the classrooms is tremendous. And I think it'll be a major asset for all the city.
So you'll be training some of the local volunteer fire departments as well, is that correct?
We will help them. That's what they've requested, and there's talks about funding from the county later on to assist paying for that. We have some plans in the work for that. But we will help them, try to get them built up to that level, and that also helps us by giving us a larger pool to get from for our personnel when we hire them.
Do you have a certain number of hours that our firefighters have to go through in training annually, or?
Yes, ma'am. We're required to do a minimum of 240 hours for ISO, then we have another 40 hours for in-service from the state of Tennessee.
Right, right. So we'll be able to do that now without having to leave the area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. so-
Absolutely. And we'll be able to host classes for other areas to come into as well. For the state of Tennessee has talked to me about the State Fire Training Commission has spoke to me about the ability to come here and use this location for classes versus us driving all the way to Bell Buckle.
Bell buckle.
Yes, ma'am.
That's too bad, though. I like hearing you talk about going to Bell Buckle.
Yes.
Probably won't happen anymore, will it?
Hope not. That's a long drive.
Well, I can't think of a better use of these funds, the ARPA funds, and your vision for what we can do here, not just to help us and the citizens of Johnson City, but for the region as well. So, good job. We're excited. When's the ribbon cutting?
Well, we're hoping to do a groundbreaking ceremony as soon as we get through this, and once we do this, if we were able to pass this, then they have 1 year to complete the project.
Okay.
So we're excited to get to
To get on
that
it.
point.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone else, discussion-wise, pull anything else? Good. All right, Ms. Laus.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, the next order of business is the consideration of, for the first reading of ordinances. Our first ordinance is ordinance number 4860-23. This is an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee by changing from the R4 and MS1 districts to B4 district for property located at the end of Clinchfield Street. And it's rezoning number 1109. Amber, Ms. Rogers, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Evening.
Before we start, I would like to give you the option. This is accompanied by a right-of-way abandonment ordinance, and we can go through both presentations and then have a single public hearing, and then make 2 motions on the items separately at the end. If you would rather do that rather than go one and then the second.
Yeah, I don't think there's,
Oh.
tonight's not public hearing.
Tonight's not
There you
public
go.
hearing.
That's all right.
That's okay.
We can still go through both, and you can make 2 motions at the end.
That'd be great. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So they would like to rezone a piece of R4 property into the B4, and then their MS1 into B4. So previously, in December, you saw this as rezoning number 1099, and the site, these parcels were rezoned to the MS1 so that they could be combined into this other MS1 parcel. And this is that previously approved concept plan. It shows these 3 lots here being brought in, and they were going to replat so that the whole thing would be a single lot. And what they were proposing was a 4-story, 124-room hotel. And it involved abandonment of the right-of-way for Clinchfield, and they had also shown on their plan that they were going to do a 10-foot easement and trail to continue the State of Franklin linear trail through the site. But since then, they discovered that the planned area for the stormwater detention area is not large enough to accommodate the site. So just again, the blue shows the previous concept plan coverage, and the yellow is what's being added in today. The current concept plan shows a 4-story, 124-room hotel. It's slightly adjusted as far as layout goes. It's at a different angle on the site. And this is the additional area that they're requiring to put into the site. And this is where that stormwater detention area is going to be. And when they were doing this, they discovered that this was a little bit more than what they needed just for the stormwater area. So they may potentially put in a future office use here up on the upper part of the site. And you'll also notice that the trail and easement have been omitted from this plan. So on the left is the existing alignment of the State of Franklin Trail as it shows on our mapping application. And then on the right is sort of a graphic to show what the plan is. So the current alignment goes along Clinchfield Street. There's not a trail or anything there, it's just the street. And then through the city-owned property and then out to Novus. And so what the developer is going to do is widen the sidewalk on State of Franklin in the existing right-of-way so that it can connect directly to Novus here and then continue down. The site is shown as being medical technical on the future land use map. Both of the proposed uses are allowed in both the MS1 and the B4 districts. The B4 just allows a little bit more flexibility in development. And so they preferred to go ahead and go with that because it would be connecting up with B4 just along State of Franklin. We have a number of policies that support this type of development. No neighbors came to the neighborhood meeting on July 10th, and staff recommends approval because it's an extension of the existing B4. It's effectively similar to what we already approved. The city has policies that support, and the multi-trail will be, or multi-use trail will be realigned.
Can you go back to the chart that shows the trail, the before and after? Yeah, there we go.
It's Route
So
13.
the blue on the right side, but the blue line on the left is where the old trail, or that's Clinchfield? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the existing, right?
Yeah, so this is along State of Franklin, and then you would turn to go down Clinchfield Street. There wasn't a trail or anything, there was just the street. And then you would come out onto an actual trail on the city-owned property and then out to Novus.
And that will remain on the city-owned property, the trail will remain there.
Yeah, there's no proposal to do anything with that.
Yeah, so it'll just be kind of stacked. So you could come up Novus and turn right and ride a little bit on that trail. It's kind of over in the tree line maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it is right up against the tree line,
Mhm.
and the railroad is right here.
Right, okay. So for an off-ride, you could go do that and then continue on Novus. That would literally go down to Market Street.
Yeah, and this is really short.
Yes.
It took me about 3 minutes to walk it.
Okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, and as we decided, we're gonna skip on to the next one. So this is about the right-of-way abandonment, and these two are linked together. Oh, do we need to read the ordinance title?
I do, thank you.
Sorry.
And it will need to be voted on separately,
Separately.
Yeah,
so
two
I don't know
motions.
if you want to.
We could stop and do the first one now and then
Okay.
let you go.
I'll make a motion to approve 4860-23.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
That's been read in already, correct? It's
Yes,
the second
first
one.
one, right.
No.
Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
And as Ms. Rogers alluded to, item 6.2 is ordinance 4861-23. It's an ordinance to abandon a portion of the public right-of-way known as Clinchfield Street upon the terms and conditions contained herein, and repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith. Ms. Rogers?
Welcome
So-
back. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So the current abandonment request area is about 75 linear feet at the south end of Clinchfield Street and the north end of the previous abandonment. It's currently vacant land, and there's no potential transportation impact. The city-owned property to the south has access to Novus Drive, and that trail being realigned would not have any impact on that either. And so again, the previous abandoned area by the December ordinance of last year and the new request area next to each other. Bright Ridge has equipment there, and there's a couple other people that will relocate, or Comcast will relocate and Lumen will abandon. And then there's a whole thing about easements. There is currently water and sewer easement and lines along Clinchfield. So for now, those easements will be maintained because those lines are still there. And later, when they do their site plan review, they're going to relocate those lines and record the new locations of the easements on the final plat. And staff recommends approval.
Move approval.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to thank the developer for volunteering to widen the road, the sidewalk on State of Franklin, and, you know, giving us an option for that trail. Thanks.
All right, Ms. Lyles.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, the next item is ordinance number 4862-23. This is the first reading. It's an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee by changing from RP3 district to the R5 district for property located along Knob Creek Road between West Mountain View Road and Knob Creek. This is rezoning number 1105.
Okay, so they would like to rezone this property that's not really on the corner of Mountain View and Knob Creek, but it's in that vicinity, from the RP3 district to R5 for an apartment complex. Just a couple of images of the site. You can see here that it is located next to medium density residential with medium density up here, and there's a huge commercial area over here. And a little bit about the topography. The site is pretty much flat through most of the middle of it, and then it dips down to a basin over here, and then Knob Creek defines the eastern border of the site. And
The
that
actual
is
creek.
a floodway.
The actual.
Yeah, the actual Knob Creek, the creek of Knob Creek. This is the concept plan that was previously approved back in January of 2022, and you probably remember seeing this. They had requested to build 178 townhomes under the RP3 district. And this is the current proposal that shows 324 apartments. There's an amenities area, and they show all of the concept plan requirements. And they also have a 16% of their site in open space. And some of that is the amenities area, and some of that is the stormwater sort of area towards the east. And we're gonna close up on Mountain View Road entrance, just to get that extra detail, because you can't see it. But here you can see that they have a deceleration lane turning right out of Mountain View into their site. And they're also going to put a sidewalk along their frontage to Mountain View. And then close up where the entrance is on Knob Creek, they are going to pay the fee in lieu because the city has plans with the state to do reconstruction and widening of Knob Creek. And so it would be wasteful for them to install a sidewalk that would have to get ripped out. So that is not going to get built at this time. It'll be built later. And additionally, they're going to install a temporary left turn lane on Knob Creek so that the tunnel over to the west doesn't get backed up by people making a left into the site. And this would probably fix the current situation now because that is the FBI building over here. And if somebody's waiting to turn left, then that gets backed up. It's shown as commercial on the future land use map. But as we will see, the dark black line indicates the area of the annexation of West Mountain View Road. And all of this area was initially zoned to the B4 district. And since then, almost all of the property north of Knob Creek has been rezoned to some kind of residential district. So we would just be extending the trend that is already occurring in that area. And just an idea of the things around, we all know what it looks like, but we have two collectors, intersection of two collectors, and it would provide a transition, high density to medium density as you go up Mountain View, and it's really close to major commercial and a freeway. We have a number of policies that support this type of development. No neighbors attended the June 5th neighborhood meeting, and staff recommends approval, as did the Planning Commission. And then I am here for any questions.
So the reason we're revisiting it again, the property changed hands, and so we have a new concept for the development of that property. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is a new proposal from a new person.
Okay, all right, good. So just a little bit more conversation around traffic, and I don't know if Anthony, Todd would like to come up. I guess my question is, so there's going to be a turning lane on Knob Creek to be able to turn left into the subdivision. What about on Mountain View? So you're going to have a decel right-hand turn lane to get in off Mountain View, but what about coming the other direction and turning left into that subdivision?
So we have a couple of projects that we're going to be working on. Oakland Avenue project, we have a bridge design that we're finalizing, and hopefully be bidding that soon. So we hope to be starting construction of Oakland Avenue to widen it to 3 lanes from approximately Hanover up to Mountain View. And that would, we hope to finish that this fiscal year. And then beginning next fiscal year sometime, we would start on Mountain View, widening it to 3 lanes all the way to Knob Creek Road. So that would give them the left turn into their site.
So there'll be a turning lane then in the center?
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
So when we had this before us, it's been almost 2 years ago when we were doing this. And we had a lot of neighborhood people show up for that, and we talked about those projects, the Oakland and the Mountain View Road expansion. And I had told them that we were going to try and get this finished before we started having people living in that area. So we were still on track to do that with this current plan. It just depends on how fast the apartments can be built and how fast our road people can do this widening.
Correct, and we will be building the road ourselves, and so Water Sewer has some plans in that area as well, that they're doing some upgrades. And so we're working with Water Sewer as well to try to get all this tied together.
Well, I think one of the great improvements that's been made is the intersection of State of Franklin and Knob Creek. And, you know, sometimes we don't get a lot of compliments on traffic, but I get more people saying, man, that has been one of the greatest things out there. It really has helped and reduced the stacking that takes place. You know,
I
it gets
agree.
back up on Knob
I've gotten
Creek.
more compliments on that project than
Yeah.
any project we've ever done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff, thank you.
I think we'd all agree that we probably have all heard more about that one thing than anything else, and compliments. So we need more of those around the city, I guess.
Yeah,
So-
and that was done internally too, right?
It was. We
Public Works
designed it
completed
internally and built it internally.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion.
I'll let you.
I'd like to move that we approve ordinance 4862-23.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, the next order of business is, ordinance is under the second reading. Item 7.1 is ordinance number 4859-23. This is FY 2023 supplemental budget ordinance. And we have Mr. Thompson here to bring this one forward.
So get your trick questions ready.
Good evening. There are no changes from first reading, so we would recommend your approval on second.
Move.
approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Good job.
Ms. Laus?
Thank you.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, the next order of business is item 8.1. This is ordinance number 4849-23. This is an ordinance to revise the updated Title 15, Chapters 1, 7, 11, 12, 14, 15, and 16 of the Code of the City of Johnson City, And we have our city attorney, Ms. Sandos, here.
Good afternoon. There have been no changes between first to second or second to third reading. As a reminder, this ordinance brings up to comparable code the city ordinances regarding our traffic citations to the rules of the road, which are found in Tennessee Code Annotated Title 55.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. Any discussion?
Rules of the road.
I like
That's
it.
what they're
That's
called.
that's an
what they-
official
that's an
document.
official
Yep.
Tennessee.
That really is. It's, if you look up Title 55, Chapter 8, it is Tennessee Rules of the Road.
I'll take your word for it.
Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commission, the next order of business is item 8.2, ordinance 4850-23. This is the third reading. It's an ordinance to revise and update Title 12, Chapter 3 of the Code of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee. I believe we have our Fire Chief, Chief Bell, with us.
All right, hello again.
Evening, Chief.
All right, there has been no changes on this from the first and the second reading on this. It's the deleting of a shunt trip for any new construction.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
And I think
Thank you.
Chief Bell will be staying with us for the next one. This is item 8.3. This is ordinance 4851. Again, the third reading. This is an ordinance to revise and update Title 7, Chapter 2, Section 201 of the Code of the City of Johnson City. Chief Bell?
All right, same with this one. There's no changes between the first and the second readings. This is the housekeeping item where we failed to actually adopt this into the other section.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Thank you.
Commissioner-
Oh, yes.
Yes, you meant to say. All right.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice
Thank
Mayor
you,
Murphy?
Chief.
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes. Thanks,
Next
Chief.
item of business is item 8.4, ordinance 4855-23. This is an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee by changing from the R4 district to the B1 and R5 districts for property located at the southeast corner of Knob Creek Road and Pactolus Road. And this is rezoning number 1108. Ms. Rogers?
Good evening. There have been no changes since the second reading.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Item 8.5 is ordinance number 4856-23. This is an ordinance to rezone approximately 118 acres located along Suncrest Drive as associated with the Keebler annexation from R2B district to RP3. And we have Ms. Voren here for this item.
Good evening, Commissioners. There have been no changes on this item.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Thank you.
That is all the items that we have on
Okay,
the
here it is.
agenda. I would point out that in the past two meetings, one of the things that we had on the agenda and our charter calls for is the item that you see on your agenda, 11.2, just for informational purposes. I think this was on the last agenda, but I would just point out that we will be providing that on future agendas for your information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anything else?
Starting with me.
Go, Commissioner Hunter.
Just remind everybody, school's back in session, so watch out for kids and young drivers.
Well, I will say thank you to the Doughboys for bringing such great news for the city of Johnson City, and I think our ballpark over there has served the Doughboys well, and it's really exciting to see what kind of season they've had. If you went to a game, you were really energized and probably ate lots of concession food. Anyway, it's been good.
Yeah, this happened to be on $1 Miller High Life night too,
Oh.
on Wednesday night, so there were a lot of Miller High Life cans out there last night. Commissioner Wise.
So in the spirit of school being back in session, I'd like to get out a pet peeve. If you cannot make it through the intersection when it is green, you should not enter the intersection because you block the intersection, impeding the flow of traffic the other direction. It's like getting on an elevator. If you won't let the people off the elevator and you're crowding yourself into the elevator, no one's getting anywhere. Sorry, I'm done now.
Vice Mayor Murphy, anything else?
Yes. Well, I do want to invite and remind those who already know there is a citywide regional effort, back to school bash this Sunday, August 6th at 2 p.m. at Freedom Hall. It'll be the biggest back to school bash in the city's history. So we invite all families and their children to come out and celebrate this upcoming school year. We will have inflatables, games, free food, music, the whole 9 yards. So please do come out this Sunday, August 6th at 2 p.m. at Freedom Hall. Look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you. I'll remind people that not only has school started, but football has started, and tomorrow night, Science Hill has a scrimmage against Greenville at home at the stadium there, and it's already begun, and I cannot believe that school started, August just started. How are we doing that? But be sure and support our home team in football this year. We're going to have a good team, isn't that right, Athletic Director back there? All right, very good. Anything else? I will call us adjourned.
All right, you got me through.